it's funny, books, as it turns out, don't write themselves. They really don't, at least not in my experience. So although, like, I think it's kind of like, it's kind of like pushing a ball along. You get it going, and then it sort of requires a certain momentum. You probably still have to push it, but it acquires prerogatives and issues of its own. But I've always found it's a lot of work, actually, to write things. But it is compelling work, and it's work that I find very satisfying.
There's a question down here. If we have
I was wondering, you're an ER doctor.
If you can wait 1 second, just so we can all hear. Thank you.
As an ER doctor and an author, do your two worlds complement each other? Or is writing a relaxing, although I'm sure it's not always relaxing, but release from the intensity of working in the ER?
Right. The question is, does my medical work and writing do they complement one another? And does writing serve as sort of a release or a relaxation from medical work? And really it's actually sort of the opposite. I find that medicine really provides me with a tremendous respite from writing.
How do your patients feel about this?
I haven't asked.
I don't think you should.
No, I mean,
but it's an interesting, it's not what you would expect.
Right. I mean, they do complement one another, and the kinds of challenges and the kinds of challenges they present and the kinds of energy they require are different. So in that sense, they're complementary, and certainly the dynamic with medicine is that other problems from the world outside myself are brought to me and become issues for me to deal with, and then I employ a certain skill set in order to deal with those issues. And then the paradigm for writing is actually totally different, because the paradigm for writing is there's actually no particular problem to start with, quite honestly. Like, there's nothing wrong with the world, right? The page is blank and it looks just fine, right? It's when you try to put something on the page that you realize what a mess you can make of it. So writing paradigm is totally different. The reason that I say that at this stage medicine sort of provides a respite is not to diminish the difficulty or the importance of medicine at all. And I would certainly say that learning to be a physician was certainly as challenging as writing a book. But the difference, I think, is that once you go through the training process of medicine, the work remains very important, and the work remains very serious and very immediate. But you have a greater store of experience, a greater store of comparables in terms of previous cases, and you've just practiced it more and more. And although you've practiced it more and more, the range of problems remains relatively constant, and the frequency with which new problems present themselves to your attention, meaning problems that you've never experienced before, diminishes quite a bit. So basically in medicine, with experience, you actually get more comfortable with it, right? And it's also tremendously gratifying because people have problems and you can help them with those problems in a really immediate sort of way, and that's really very, very satisfying. And then the difference with writing is, and if you ask me this question in 20 years, maybe I'll tell you that writing is a piece of cake, but I doubt it. And the reason I doubt it is that With me, part of the interest in writing is the desire to do something new, is the desire to explore territory that has not necessarily been explored in the conversation about that topic or that time and place. And it's also a desire to explore territory within myself that hasn't yet been explored. So if I was writing, if someone told me to write, oh, write a book just like Bloodletting and Miraculous Cures, or write another book just like The Headmaster's Wager, there would be no attraction in that whatsoever, because it would be completely antithetical to the whole point of doing it, right? So to me, by definition, writing a book always has to be like going to medical school again. It always has to be learning something new and challenging oneself again to push further. Otherwise, why would I do it?
Is there the trial and error involved in it as well?
Oh, there's a lot of trial and error. Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error. You'll be happy to know that in medicine, what we call that is research and the body of knowledge.
I feel so much better now.
Yes. Do you really feel better?
What clinic is it that you work at?
I work at the...
No, but it's an interesting thing because it seems in what you're saying is that it's the questions that push you to write.
That's right.
To build the body of knowledge, whereas in medicine, the body of knowledge is there and it's the application.
That's right.